Prosecutors have told lawyers for Rudy Giuliani he's the target of a Georgia criminal investigation into attempts to interfere in the 2020 election in the state. The former personal attorney to former President Trump is scheduled to testify Wednesday. Giuliani led efforts to keep Mr. Trump in power after the election. A federal judge has also denied South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham's attempt to quash a subpoena in the same investigation. Graham's lawyers argue the Constitution shields him from having to testify about legislative business. The judge rejected that argument. The senator is now set to testify next week. For more on all this, Tamar Hallerman joins us now, senior reporter for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Tamar, we appreciate your time on what's a very busy day in this story. So what can you tell us about why Giuliani might be a target of the investigation?
Well, thanks for having me, Scott. And there's several incidents involving Rudy Giuliani here in Georgia that the special grand jury is looking into. Of course, starting with several appearances that he made at the Georgia State House in late 2020 as the presidential results were being disputed. He spewed off a bunch of conspiracy theories, falsehoods, half-truths about the situation in Georgia. And he also aired a very selectively edited surveillance video of vote counting in State Farm Arena, which he said was a smoking gun for fraud. Our authorities here almost immediately disputed what he was saying there, but still he continued to echo those falsehoods. And we know that the special grand jury is interested in that. National reporting has showed that Mr. Giuliani was also at the center of efforts to appoint a slate of fake Republican electors in Georgia and several swing states. And he also apparently called some officials in Georgia, including our Speaker of the House here in Georgia. So several incidents he's involved in.
Let's move on to Senator Graham. Why did the judge deny this attempt to get him out of his subpoena?
Well, there's several reasons that she cited in her order this morning. The first is that basically this legislative privilege that he was citing. His attorneys were arguing that the speech or debate clause in the Constitution basically barred prosecutors in the grand jury from asking him anything about these two phone calls that he placed to the Georgia Secretary of State's office. His lawyer said this all fell within the purview of his role as chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, and because he's a member of Congress who was tasked with certifying the presidential election results. But the judge said, no, there's many activities here that could be kind of more constituted as political activity rather than kind of a straight up legislative one that would be immune from testimony. She also denied that he was a high ranking official that basically would allow him to quash his subpoena. She said he had to come testify, although the senator mentioned he plans to appeal the decision, and we could see something from the 11th Circuit very soon.
It would have to be very soon because it's got that short turnaround time, right? Did they move with that type of expeditious nature they're going to need to move to get that appeal heard before the subpoena or the testimony date?
Absolutely. And we could see a judge say, hey, let's hold his testimony before the special grand jury until we're able to move. But you're absolutely right, Scott. August 23rd was the date on his subpoena. And, the district court judge moved very expeditiously with this. And I'm expecting the 11th Circuit to do the same.
Where does this stand overall? We see all these pieces and these specks of the investigation from Giuliani today to Graham possibly next week. Big picture, where is this thing?
I mean, it's appearing that this investigation is moving kind of closer and closer to Donald Trump. I like to kind of describe it as a pyramid. And the investigation has been kind of slowly working its way up. And the fact that we're getting to folks like Rudy Giuliani, the former president's personal attorney, to a confidant like Lindsey Graham shows that we're getting very close to the former president. One thing, as far as we know that this investigation haven't gotten to, as far as we know, they have not subpoenaed former members of the Trump White House. They haven't subpoenaed the former president himself yet. But those are options that the district attorney, Fani Willis, has mentioned are not off the table for her. And it'll be interesting to see how close she wants to get to the former president. He, of course, has many types of privilege that he will likely try and cite, including a presidential immunity. And, she would have a giant legal fight on her hands, especially should he announce, as many are expecting, his 2024 presidential run. That will instantly complicate matters, and it's something that undoubtedly the Fulton DA has to be thinking about at this point.
Just a piece of housekeeping. We hear about these subpoenas in this investigation because in Georgia, in Fulton County, they have to make public an out-of-state subpoena?
Yeah, there's a special process that you need to go through if you're subpoenaing somebody who lives outside of Georgia. Basically, you have to go in front of a judge in the home state of wherever these out-of-state witnesses live to kind of convince them that these witnesses are kind of necessary and material for the investigation. And so that's where we see the kind of public leaking of these subpoenas. And in the next couple of days, we're going to see hearings for a number of former Trump campaign attorneys, including John Eastman, the former law professor who's considered the legal architect behind the fake elector scheme, Jenna Ellis, who worked with Rudy Giuliani, and others as well. And so there's definitely a lot of updates these last couple of weeks, and we're only expecting this to heat up in the weeks and months ahead.
It's a big case. It's a big story to keep yourself abreast of, and you're doing a great job. Tamar Hallerman, thanks for your time.
Thank you.